what if the voice in your head isn't even really yours?
What if it's an old parent wound or like an ex relationship, some past failure that you had, or fear, which we have plenty of that you replay so often it starts to feel like the truth?
Right. Today we're talking about how to flip your script, how to calm the inner narrator, regulate your reactions, rewrite the story you tell yourself by listening to those little voices, right? And start manifesting the future you actually live in.
It's a beautiful chaos, this roller coaster ride. The ups, the downs are spinning all around inside. It's a beautiful chaos. Sometimes I love, sometimes I hate. Have to pause, renegotiate, but with gratitude I appreciate this beautiful chaos.
Welcome to Beautiful Chaos. I'm Tammy Ramsey.
And I'm Staci Miller.
And today our episode is Flip Your Script, Rewrite Your Story.
Yep.
So things that we think about, like what got this going in my mind was I had a flashback. I've been married to my husband for 29 years, and it still amazes me that old wounds pop up. Those old voices and responses pop up in very emotional moments. So I was venting about something to my husband, just venting. You know, women, we do that.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah.
It feels better when you get it out. Sometimes you just got to get it out.
Yeah.
And you don't let it fester.
Yeah. But men normally want to fix it. And for some reason, though, Kevin got very defensive of the person that I was complaining about. And so he was yelling at me, and my hackles got up, my little defense thing got on, and I felt attacked, and he left for the day as I'm sitting there going, old me, he hates me. And then I instantly stopped and went, wait a minute. This isn't your past.
Right.
This wasn't the previous person in your life. He doesn't hate you. He's upset. Something has happened in his day, in his night, whatever, that created this very emotional reaction.
But I think that's really fair. I think that especially in some sort of trigger-inducing situation like that, where somebody is yelling at you, can easily dig up an old wound. Because I think that we try today, and I would hope everyone is trying at maybe if you're close to or around our age, to live in a home, in a family, and a relationships, and even a work environment where you're not in a constant state of trauma or defense and things like that. Right. And so when it does come up, it shouldn't feel normal. Right. And because it doesn't feel normal, it might feel like a really old normal from childhood or an old relationship. And so I think it's very, very normal to have that, because that should not be something that happens very often. Right.
And it doesn't. And so I do think that it throws you off. But I think that recognizing that your feelings, where they're coming from, is the first step in being able to settle your mind down, understand what's happening, and be able to show compassion for the other person.
Right.
So with that being said, this is what this episode is about, is flipping your script. What things you tell yourself. Like if I'm telling myself, this person is yelling at me, so they hate me, I need to stop and go, that's not the truth. What is the actual truth? And question myself on it and go, that's something from the previous wound, and we're gonna move on.
Well, and if we talk about when we say flipping the script, let's talk about what the script really is.
Yes.
So the script is going to be what we would call like your inner voice. But I think everyone's inner voice is different. And I've learned recently that some people don't narrate as much as others do. I feel like my inner voice is a constant narration of the day. And, what I'm doing, what I'm going to say to the person next, and it does kind of run through my brain first. And I think that some people I've learned don't have like an inner narrative, which I think is very odd. I mean, I'm sure that they're still guided by thoughts and things like that, but they're not necessarily having a constant dialogue happening. For me, I think mine is more of a constant dialogue.
Same. I'm the same.
But your inner voice can also be like hearing your parents from when you were younger.
Or a teacher who didn't believe that you could do something. Or my grandmother who said, you can't sing. I don't know what you're doing. You're not singing.
Right. Or an ex from the past that maybe was not the best influence on our life.
Right. A painful past moment. And there actually have some information out there. There was a Harvard professor, I can't remember her name, but they did some research and found that, and she was a psychologist, that childhood trauma, even though you don't remember it, it brings up physical remnants through situations or different things like that. So,
well, and I think it's also only fair to say that part of your narrative also is going to come from a really positive teacher that may have impacted you really well, or a really great mentor that you lean into, or maybe you listen regularly to some sort of self-help podcast or read really great books, and maybe that internal narrative is now starting to take over some of the negative stuff. The problem is that old adage of like, you can do the right thing 9 times, and on the 10th time you mess up, and that's the only time anyone's going to remember is the 10th time that you messed up.
Or you're going to remember.
Or that you're going to remember.
And you're going to beat yourself up about, and you're going to forget that you did it 9 other times and you did it great.
Yeah, so I think the focus on maybe the more negative impacts to our internal dialogue comes from the fact that those ones are going to be a lot louder in certain situations, and they're going to weigh on us a lot differently.
Right, exactly. So being aware of what you're feeling and where it's coming from, like when I navigated that whole situation, and it's taken me years and years. Back when we were first married, oh my gosh, like if I was sick and laying on the couch and I'm just like, feel like I'm dying because I'm that whanny of a person that has to sleep it off.
You get the man cold.
I do. Totally admit it. But Kevin would come in and he would not say anything. He would just be like, well, how are you doing? And he'd walk out. And I would instantly be like, oh my gosh, he hates me. He thinks I'm a horrible person. All these things because...
He thinks I'm lazy. He thinks
I'm lazy, yes. Yeah. Like all these judgment things that he wasn't thinking at all. But that was previous relationships that happened. So this has taken me, 29 years of marriage to be able to, hey, I did yell back. But then I stopped myself because I was like, oh, I'm not continuing this battle because this is the wrong battle. This is not what's happening. Right. And so we let it go. So some things that I've learned to do to help me through those emotional moments. And I think, and you probably have a lot of stuff that you could share too with like how you deal with things like on 911 calls or because I think that we all have different processes. But one of the biggest things that I've learned over the years through counseling, through reading self-help books, through watching or listening to podcasts, is a breathing. And any time that you're feeling like your hackles are up, you just need to just close your eyes for a minute. I call it like a 4-minute vacation. It's not even 4 minutes, but you just take deep breaths in and breathe out of your mouth very slowly and do that 4 times. And that can help calm your nervous system, which is your sympathetic nervous. No, wait. Yeah. Sympathetic nervous system is the one that's like, I'm going to lose my marbles any second. So that breathing can actually stop that trigger response of you wanting to lash out, you wanting to respond with a loud voice. Because we also, I learned from my sister-in-law, Kimmy, mirror, right? Yep. So like if you're yelling at me, I'm going to respond yelling at you because I'm mirroring your energy, your response, your body language.
And I think coming from a 911 dispatcher perspective, I'll give you kind of 2 examples for that. I can't stop and take a breath if the energy is really high on a call. Right. But we have like pedals under our desk. And for me, if I put my energy there and I get my feet going, then this part of me stays really calm because my feet are pedaling. And sometimes, depending on how crazy we're getting, my feet are like this. But my voice and my her body is maybe really calm looking, or at least calm sounding, I hope. And I think with the matching, that's true. But I've worked in either customer service, call centers, being on the phone, or 911 for a really, really long time. And so one of the skills that you learn with that is the more escalated the other person gets, the quieter that you get.
Quieter you got to get. Yeah.
So that you can, even working in a drive-through, fast food drive-through, if I would get like a really, really loud truck that would come up and their engine is clearly taking over the speaker and there's no way you're ever going to hear this person, what I would notice is a lot of people would get they would get onto their speaker and say, "How can I help you?" And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. What I do is I get onto the speaker and I go, "How can I help you? What can I get for you today?" And I know it's reverse psychology, right? Because then they go, "I can't hear that lady at all. I should turn my truck off." Oh, and then they turn their truck off and they go, "Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you. I'd like burger, fries, and a drink." And I'm like, "Oh, I'd be happy to get that for you. Sounds great."
I love that.
But it's just a reversal. If you keep talking quiet mirroring. And calm,
you're the calm,
then it brings them actually down. Now, there are definitely sometimes in 911 situations where people cannot find their calm. It is the worst day of their life if they're calling 911.
Right.
So sometimes you have to say the right thing very sternly. Like, I need you to take a couple of deep breaths and speak clearly and let me know what's going on in order for us to help you. And when you make it really clear that you're going to have to breathe through this so that I can provide you help, that usually triggers something for people to realize, oh, wow, I didn't realize how not calm I am.
Yeah.
And they take a deep breath and they say, "This is my address. This is what's happening." And we at least get to there. And then usually they'll go back into their hyper sense, which is totally fine. But at least we can get them calm to get the necessary information. So
yeah, and this method of mirroring works with kids too. Mm-hmm. If your child is upset, instead of you getting upset and responding, you need to take the deep breaths and then respond in a calm, lower your voice, how you want them to be, because that's your job, is to help calm them.
Which is also why they always recommend coming down to your child's level.
Yes, like eye to eye.
Coming eye to eye with them, because you're already very overpowering when you're coming up at them from this and you're saying this and this and this. But when you're down at an eye level, it makes it easier for you to have a level conversation. But this is true with relationships at work, your husband, all of these things. If you and your husband decide that we're going to start to hash it out, like if you think about when you were venting, he starts yelling. If you would have not responded with yelling back and would have said, "I'm not sure what's made you so upset today, but I don't think it's me. Can we talk about this differently or maybe at a different time?" And then bringing it down like that would probably trigger him to say, "Crap, I don't know where that came from either. Sorry, like I didn't realize I got so mad so fast for really no reason."
Yeah. And that would have been a good thing to say. Yeah. We just kind of separated and then came back together, and I apologized for responding to his reactions and asked him what was going on with you.
Yeah.
That you were stressed. I kind of like to understand. And then he actually apologized.
Right.
Which, like, can you mark that
but
down?
we quiet that inner voice.
Yes.
When everything gets very loud. So it's a matter of bringing it down so we can still hear what we're trying to do to keep ourselves balanced.
Right. And some of the things that we can do to keep ourselves balanced is, you start with your deep breathing, and then you ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Mm-hmm. And a lot of the times it's like dealing with emotions. You're gonna name your emotion.
Yep.
I'm really mad. Okay, and where's that mad feel? Is it in your face? Is it in your chest, like this weight?
Don't clench your teeth, though.
Yeah.
Because I do that. I clench my jaw and then it hurts.
Yeah. Then you're all tense. Like, where are you feeling it in your body? And then you can notice what it is and then breathe through it and at least get some breathing going on so that you can accept. And then you can talk about,
is this happening or is this like reaction about something that's happening now?
Or is it
about something that happened before?
Right. Is this one of those, I think one of the other episodes I talked about how if we wore all of our emotional wounds like we do actual wounds, we would have Band-Aids everywhere on our bodies. And when one of those Band-Aids gets ripped off and somebody pokes it, that's that emotional place that you come from, that your mind doesn't hear anything. It just feels this poking.
Right. And then we have to think to ourselves, in this moment, do I want to react or do I want to respond? Because generally your reaction is going to be very emotional and it's going to be very charged, and it might not be the reaction that you're hoping for. But if we're responding, then it could be, there's a great lesson that's taught in counseling regularly, which is that we say to somebody, not necessarily, hey, you're a pain in the neck.
Yeah.
But maybe say, when you say this to me, you make me feel in this way. So it's that same sort of concept.
Yes. Okay, we're going to take a break for our sponsor.
We'll be right back.
This episode of Beautiful Chaos is sponsored by Sarah Nova. I've been using their micro needling infusion anti-aging kit for about 6 weeks now. And honestly, while editing our podcast videos, I've noticed my skin looking healthier, smoother, and some of my fine lines are definitely softening. And those saddlebags along my jawline that were starting to form have started to tighten up. What I love most about Sarah Nova is that it's simple to use. You can use it at home. It's non-evasive. And Sarah Nova even offers a refund policy, which makes trying it a little less intimidating. So if you want to check it out yourself, you can use my code at sarahnova.com/Tammy, all capitals, TAMMY 01873. Thanks for rejoining us. We're very appreciative of our sponsors.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So a lot of this emotional intelligence, part of it I learned very young and by reading a book called Pulling Your Own Strings. And I can't remember the author, but I remember it really amazed me because it even talked about funerals. Mm-hmm. Okay. We choose to be sad and emotional, and all the responses, we're choosing those responses. And sometimes we feel in our minds, we're thinking this, I have no control over my emotions. I have no control. This is just, I'm just going to fall. But really you do. But you have to breathe through it and understand what's happening within your body to be able to settle your body down. Another really good Audible book that I've been listening to is The Magic Shop by James Doty. And he passed away because I was reading this going, oh my gosh, I would love to have him on our podcast. I would love to interview him because he's just he is very kind of emotional. He has a very good story.
Very soft-hearted.
Yes, but he talks about learning to settle starting with his toes all the way up, calming his body and breathing.
Which, let me just say, if you can't fall asleep at night, it's such a great tactic to just start from your toes. And while you're deep breathing, are my toes relaxed? Are my ankles relaxed? And you just slowly work your way up. And sometimes you can't make it all the way to the top because you already fall asleep. Or if you start from the top and you work your way down, you might not make it all the way to your toes. But it is such a good way to just sort of, because sometimes, I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but you're trying to fall asleep in bed and you don't realize that you're actually holding yourself up on the pillow a little bit. You actually haven't let go and sunk into the pillow. Yeah. Or you haven't noticed that you've not unclenched your jaw yet, or that you've got if you sleep like a Tyrannosaurus Rex like I do, and you've got your hands clenched up like this, and I make a conscious effort to let go of my hands, lay them somewhere, pull my shoulders into the bed, pull my head and neck into the bed, and make sure that I'm fully relaxed. But it's a great way to fall asleep. It's also a great way to just do a check, like she's saying. You're just going to do a mind check and make sure that you're balanced and you're relaxed all the way through. Yep.
So, and going back to we have to be able to control our emotions, to control our own selves if we are in a situation where someone is hyperactive emotionally and yelling or upset or whatever. We can, like you said, I should have been very calm in response to Kevin and been well, I wonder where that's coming from for you, and ask those questions and chose to come from a compassionate place instead of, I just felt like my Band-Aid was ripped off and I was poked. So I was like, "Rrr." But if I'd have been able to go, okay, let me put that Band-Aid back on because that wasn't what he meant to do. And I need to have compassion for him because something's going on that's causing this
And
situation.
It's also fair that both of you could have been right.
Right.
You could have been venting about something very accurate.
Yeah.
For whatever reason it offended him. His reason for being offended could also be very accurate. And then maybe you realize that, hey, we're both right in this situation, but for whatever reason we triggered each other with these two facts, and they're still facts and they still both happened.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think that that's great to look at it that way as well. And different personalities don't always communicate the same way.
No.
And men and women don't communicate the same way.
Absolutely.
Because just like I was venting, but he was trying to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got upset because anyways.
Men are fixers. They are knights in shining armor, and we're very grateful that they will fix everything for us. Sometimes I'll say to my husband when I'm about to vent, I will actually preface it with, I don't need you to fix this. I just need you to listen. Or I'll say, I'm going to vent to you the things that happen inside my head, what I would never tell somebody else, because they might sound like selfish or it might sound like self-serving. But it's because sometimes you do have certain things in your own head that you wouldn't share with everybody, but I can share some of those things with my husband. Like, hey, I think I did a really good job with XYZ today, like at work or whatever it is. And he'll be like, yeah, you did do a really good job. I'm like, I'm never going to go to work and say I did such a great job. But sometimes I need to vent that to him and say, here's all these things that happened. And I think I responded really well. Yeah. And it's nothing for him to fix, but it's something that only he's ever going to hear.
Yeah. You're not going to go and tell everybody that for sure. So another thing is talking about, flipping your script.
Yeah.
I think that recognizing what your script is, and I don't think people realize, and I catch myself doing it, saying, oh, I'm so stupid. Like, why did I didn't do this. Oh, I'm so stupid. And then I've been catching myself lately, though, going, no. That might have been a stupid thing to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not stupid.
Right.
Or some people think.
So the other one is like, you just fail a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that one's easy because we do feel like, we talked about in the last podcast, we're scared of success, scared of failure. And I think those are the exact same fear. Yeah. And so sometimes we will, see, I failed again. Oh, see, I failed again. I think the other one is, it's not listed, is I'm so lazy. I say that to myself more than any. The stupid or failure, maybe not as much as lazy. I'm always accusing myself of being lazy. Yeah. And then I'll correct myself and be like, really? Because your 3 hours of sleep you had last night in between the 4 community board meetings that you went to and the 9 hours of work where you were stressed out and did XYZ, like, you're lazy?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to go home and rest, even if the laundry needs done and you're not getting to it, or even if the dishes need done and maybe you're going to let them sit for a minute. Like, sometimes it's okay to just go home and rest, breathe, because you have to allow yourself that, or you're no good to anybody.
Right. We talked about that in a previous episode too. Give yourself permission to rest, and that is something we're both at a downfall for.
Fill your cup, or you can't pour out to others, and all those things.
Right. But it also makes you think, tying into this episode even more, is whose voice is that in your head?
Yeah.
And my head that's saying you're lazy. If you sit down for a few minutes, where does that come from? Like there has to be somewhere in life that we've experienced someone insinuating that to us or flat out saying it to us. And I can't remember but it could have been any younger. So young we don't remember. We just
I know exactly where that comes from for me. But at the end of the day, I can put the blame on somebody else and say, well, they used to always tell me I was lazy. But at the end of the day, I've been adult for a long time. Yeah. So I've let it stay in my head and in my vocabulary. And so for me, it's my responsibility to change that narrative. It's not somebody else's responsibility to go back 20, 30 years and fix it for me.
Right. And I'm not saying that that's a case for anything. I'm saying, like, for me, it's nice to recognize or just to know that, you know what, there's a reason it's in my brain. And I've got to make the choice. Am I going to listen to that? Or am I going to just, tune that out and go, no, like you did. Wait a minute. I just did. I only got 3 hours of sleep and I did this and that and the other and all these meetings.
Yeah.
It's a truth. So, and that's like the same thing with failing. I I did it right 9 times and failed 1 time, so I'm the worst at this.
Right.
It's that our brains just automatically seek out ways of protecting us, and its way of protecting us, our amygdala, is to, well, okay, you failed at that, so we better not try that anymore. And then,
well, and it's just everywhere. It's in society. You have that cancel culture, and cancel culture doesn't have to just be like Hollywood and celebrities, politics, things like that.
Yeah.
You see cancel culture with teachers and community members, and local things anymore, where somebody didn't have the right tweet response to a situation, or they didn't. They said one thing that probably could have been said better, and it's like, well, cancel. Nope, we're done with them. Yeah, get them out.
well, which is,
We don't have grace for people anymore.
exactly. Or compassion to know where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. So things that we can do to start recognizing that we even need to flip our script is to actually catch ourselves saying these things. I'm too old to try to do a podcast. No. I'm going to say, what? Is that true?
Right. No.
No.
Everybody's got a target audience. So
Right.
we're never too old.
That's right. And we're not stupid.
Right.
We might have done something stupid, but that doesn't define who we are. So anytime you catch yourself saying something, ask yourself if it's true. Like,
Right.
I always fail, because that 9 times and the 1 time you didn't. But then you say, well, wait, I'm learning through this experience. So now I've learned that 9 times I did it this particular way, and then I did it this way. Okay, the other 9 times works, so I need to do it that way.
And just to jump off on a tangent on that one too, I know I say a lot on here, and I just can't be a bigger advocate for the next generation is actually doing better than we give them credit for. I think that they have such better compassion and
Yes.
kindness for each other, and things that we didn't expect to see because we thought we were raising these iPad kids, and they actually are really, really compassionate people. But when it comes to the failure comment, I see things online with this going on at this school and these teachers and these different things. And I see so often schools that have great quotes that are painted in their classroom and painted down their hallways and
In their bathrooms.
in their bathrooms, the bathroom ones I love, or even when I just go to like local school events, sporting things like that. And one of them I see often is, failure is proof that you're trying.
Yeah.
And I love that we're just pushing that into this generation and reminding them that you do have to keep trying, because you're going to fail 100 times and then you're going to get it right eventually. And so I just think, I've had this one struggling in my brain for a while. And I think it's important to say as many times as we can that as parents of whichever generation we are, right? Because there's our parents, us, whatever.
We're 15
We
years
always-
apart. We all
yeah,
have
we're 15
different-
years
We're
apart,
all
but-
raised different.
We will say when we're having kids, I just want them to be better than I was. I want
Yes.
them to have more than I did. I want them to be more successful. And what we have to be very careful of is that when they are better than us and they are more successful than us, that we are appreciating that.
Yes.
And that they are not blaming us because they did better. I'm seeing a lot of that in the world right now, where I'm seeing like the younger generation, most of them, I agree, super compassionate, all these things, they're doing really great. But then I'll also see them go, why weren't you the way I am? And blaming the next generation, their parents, their aunts and uncles, whatever, and saying, I've learned all this great compassion and you weren't that way to me. And that's not really fair, because we are evolve generationally, and they are now better than us in certain ways. And that's great. And now we need to learn from them and make ourselves better today.
Yes.
And then get grace for the fact that we weren't maybe that way 20 years ago. Anyways, It's a whole cycle, but I just think that you recognize that in your family dynamic somehow, that we do want our next generation to be better than us when they are. Appreciate that.
Appreciate it.
And then if they're seeing that you should be blamed for the fact that they're better than us, let's remember that they also need to show compassion. Anyways.
Right. You can
Soapbox.
remind them of that.
Off the soapbox.
I went through a lot of years of counseling, and, one thing was, hug your inner child. It actually is a thing, and it works. I had to put it in my wallet. So every time I'd open my wallet, I'd see, visualize yourself hugging your inner child for all of its pains. But the other thing was to forgive your parents, because Your parents raise you with what information they have at the time.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this on previous episodes too. I can tell you all 3 of our kids came from different your kids, the 2 girls similar, but James different, my grandkids, there are different ways that are being taught to parent.
Yeah.
So what everybody knows at this moment, we did not know. We did not know how to process emotions.
Right.
We didn't know how to name emotions. We were told to shut up and...
Children are seen and not heard.
Yes, exactly. And you just put one foot in front of the other and keep pushing through, whatever it is. So that was a good soapbox to be on.
Thanks.
So other things, back to flipping the script.
Yes.
I'm stupid, but really, are you? And then look at it, flip the script and say, I'm human and I'm growing because I'm learning from my mistakes.
Yep,
yes,
exactly. Or nothing works, and maybe it's just because you haven't found your way yet. So convince yourself that nothing's working because you need to find a different path, and we're trying to get ourselves on the right path.
Yeah, and sometimes we're fighting so hard for one path, and there's actually another path that's just waiting and open for us if we would just pray about it, put it in God's hands, and breathe through it and let it happen.
Yep.
Another flip your script is, I'm too old. And it's like, no, I still have time. Like, I can do anything that I want in this life. I just have to decide that I want to do it.
And then the last one is going to be, I'm broken. Yeah. We hold on to our old wounds really hard. But maybe instead you can change that script to, I'm healing and I'm finding new ways to move past my old wounds.
Yeah, and our minds and our bodies are miraculous. And what is going on in our mind can create what's going on in our bodies. So if you're carrying wounds from the past that you keep playing over and telling yourself, writing your script that says, I'm broken, I can't fix this, and whatever those things are that are going on, your body is going to listen to your mind and go, we're broken. So here's an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Oh, here's, this issue, whatever it is. And if we start to change our mindset, which we'll get into in the future, we're going to talk about manifesting your future, but in the next episode, actually.
Yeah.
But you can actually create better health in your body by dealing through all of this stuff in your mind.
Right. So like she said, our next podcast is going to be dedicated to the idea of manifestation and kind of where that comes from. And we'll take different angles on it. But for now, we just kind of want to tease some of those ideas because it comes right into play with flipping your script.
Yes.
And so when you repeatedly picture and emotionally rehearse what's in your head, you're shaping your direction. Right. So start to see yourself as being someone who's very peaceful.
Yes.
And we talk peacefully.
Lower. Yes. Mirror. We're loved.
And we're healthy. You may not feel your healthiest all the time, but I'm going to give you an example on this. I have a fear of the dentist because dang it, I had a dentist who messed that whole thing up for me. And I think everybody kind of has that at some point where you just kind of have a bad experience. And I wait until there's a problem now, which I don't recommend. And then I call and I bury my little self and I go, I'm so sorry, but I haven't been in a couple of years, but now I have a problem and I'm pretty sure you're going to pull half my teeth out because I have all these issues. And this is twice now I've done this to poor Dr. Miller where I walk in and I'm like, I think you're going to need to pull a tooth and there's this problem and these things hurt and I probably got gingivitis. I have a cavity.
That's it.
I have one cavity.
Oh, you did really good.
And my teeth look fine. And the last time I went there and I told him I needed teeth pulled and there was all these problems, I had one cavity. I think I had 2 cavities that time. But they were just little minor. I didn't even need a crown. I've never had a root canal. I really got to stop.
So think about this. Your mindset was
worst
all
case
this
scenario.
Negative, worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you just stopped yourself and said, but what if the opposite is true? That's an easy way to flip your script. What if the opposite is true? What if I'm going to go in there? My teeth are going to be fabulous. And everything's going to be fine.
Right. Which is going to be a lot easier when I decide to stop being so scared of the dentist and just go regularly.
Yes.
But yes, in general, even when you have, we're all dealing with some sort of health issue. We all are. We can list them off if you had way more time, but this episode is long already. But I'm walking and I got up today and I'm blessed to be healthy enough to go to work every day, to function on very little sleep a lot of the time, or, you know, have a full set of teeth in my mouth, even if I've got one cavity. I thought I had all these other problems. But really focus on all of the things that you have in your health that make you capable of living this life to its fullest, instead of saying, I have this ailment and it brings me down and it takes these things away from me.
Right. Because what you think becomes
the narrative of your life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So think just good things. And remember, you're not trapped by old voices.
You're not required to repeat old reactions.
You can calm your body, change your words, yes, and create a new future.
The voice in your head may have been handed to you by people in the past, but the next chapter can be written by you. So you hold the pen.
You do. You hold the pen. By the way, I hear your voice a lot in my head. I mean, it's always in a good way. Okay, remember to say hello when you answer the phone.
Yeah. Which I've gotten actually bad about that. I think
know,
you took
today
it.
you
it's
didn't
like
say hello.
We did. We swapped habits or something.
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
just need to get to the point, and that's the way she used to be. And now she says hello, and I forget to. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us on this episode. We look forward to you joining us on the next one, where we're going to sort of dive from a lot of these things. Yeah, and kind of focus in a little bit more. But until then,
stay empowered.